Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Hyrule Chronicles, the Legend of Zelda Dungeons and Dragons 5th Edition RPG. I am ArticulateT, the Game Master. With me, as always, I have Renji Vox being played by the lad.
The Queen is dead. Long live the King.
I have
No.
I have
We do not support the monarchy in this house.
Does Max not do that either?
Max don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, I have Kai Kuana being played by Avrdal.
See, this is why we just don't ascribe to a monarchy to begin with. We just kind of have, like, who seems best. It's meritocracy.
I have Saiden
Excellent.
Charu being played by Rubber Pirate.
I thought the king died as well. So
I mean, previously, yes. Yes, he very much did.
Yeah. And I have Max being played by Keisha.
All monarchs are parasites.
Okay. So, what happened last time?
Last time, on Hyrule Chronicles, the Storm's Eye travels from the Great Deku Tree, further into the Lost Woods. The Goma larvae are up to their illusionary tricks again, this time targeting an old memory of Zidon. Coming face to face with the image of his late wife, Zidon is not pleased. His anger boils to the surface, and the Storm's Eye makes short work of the Goma larvae. Finally, they arrive at the Goma's lair, a swampy cave complex. Fighting off Goma and Deku Babas, carnivorous plants, they are headed deeper and deeper, ready to confront the mind behind the infection. However, before they get to the very depths, they pass by a pile of bones, and from it, a voice speaks. The voice belongs to a reanimated spirit, a Stalfos, warning them of the dangers ahead and speaking of its own past, though its memories are vague. It mentions that it was raised from the dead by the Sovereign Hand. The skeleton isn't fully formed anymore, and the bones are overgrown by vines. Taking the head of the Stalfos with them, the Storm's Eye names it Pohaku, after a suggestion by Kai. Finally, the party arrives in the depths of the cave, and the mastermind reveals itself. A queen, the Cerebro Goma, a great monster with a large eye resting in a pool of swampy sludge. As more Goma appear, the eye closes and a tough battle ensues. Dealing with the smaller foes, the Storm's Eye figure out that whenever the Goma larvae are downed, the Queen's Eye opens, the boss's weak point. Kai and Zidon get into the thick of it, with Mara, Max, and Renji sticking to the sides of the cavern, picking off the smaller Goma as they appear. Though the Goma are dangerous with their infectious ability, and the Cerebro Goma herself is a formidable foe, they stand no chance against the Storm's Eye, with Zidon felling the Queen by sapping her life force. And that's where we left off.
Indeed. So, we return to our companions as they stand in the dark cave in the aftermath of their great battle. The smaller Goma that had been spawning to aid their queen have been summarily dealt with. Given that now that there is no central guiding force behind the hive mind, they are incapable of following anything other than their own instincts, and even then it's difficult for them to do anything, meaning that they are swiftly and easily picked off. Now everything falls quiet, with the only sound being the occasional drip from elsewhere in the cavern and the unfortunate damp smell that remains there even after the battle is finished.
Oops.
So, what is the plan?
I believe Renji is still kind of on the side, right,
Yeah.
of the cavern. I think Renji wants to figure out if he can find a way, or if he can find something hinting at how this queen came to become this powerful and this intelligent.
Make for me a intelligence nature check.
Intelligence nature. Okay.
Yeah.
Un momento, per favore. Nature. Not very good at that. An 8.
Okay. It's difficult to say. You know enough about parasites that they kind of latch on to an already living force. Maybe, perhaps, the creature in question had found something that was capable of such psychic might, but even then, you wouldn't know what that might be. Yeah, it's hard to say at this moment in time. Maybe when you're out of the damp cave full of dead parasitic insectoids, you might be able to think a little clearer.
Okay.
Max is gonna wobble over to the nearest wall because his brain is still leaking out of his ears.
Alright.
Doesn't pass that saving throw.
Oof.
Yeah. Yeah, it
Does
does.
anyone need to be patched up? Other than me?
Ooh.
I'll
I
have
think I'm
plenty
okay,
of.
thank you.
I could use a rest, but beyond that, I'm okay.
You want to rest or you want to get out of here?
Well, yes, first that. But also, are we done here? Because, like, we've dispatched this creature, but what if there's something we're overlooking?
Want to take the time to look? We can, but I don't know what we're expected to find.
Your
I glance
skull
over at
friend.
Sidon.
Your skull friend was sovereign hand, right?
Said that. Didn't you, Pahaku?
Maybe they came down here or something.
Reason.
Maybe it's evidence of whatever.
The
It's kind of hard to think right now.
the skull does not say anything, at least not yet.
It's alright. We'll get some more time to talk in a little bit.
Maybe we need to shake the skull and see what kind of, like, answer comes up. Wait, that's a magic 8 ball. Never mind.
But that being said, if people need patched up, I can do at least a little bit of that to get us out of here. Zayden, I remember you saying that you were going to get some samples for the good doctor.
Yes. I have a variety of jars to take samples with.
Okay. Make for me a survival check. DC is relatively easy.
22.
You get plenty of appropriate samples of different kinds. You get part of their like hard carapace. You get mandibles. You get one intact eye. You get a decent collection of samples that can be used for an appropriate amount of medical research.
Also, I think Renji does want to see if there's anything that he can find loot-wise. Also, with the original skeleton of Bohaku.
Sure. If that's the case,
That was what Max was trying to suggest through his brain frog.
Yeah. Make for me an investigation check. I'm not pulling up the map at this point because there's no threat there
not
anymore.
Good at it. Another 8.
Other people can have a go if they wish.
I'll go.
I don't know if I'll have disadvantage, but 2.
Well,
What do I find with a 24?
Okay. I mean, I guess in some way, because of the general disposition of everybody in the party involved, I guess, and Kai does still have the skull, so even if there was the occasion,
I think I'm the only one proficient in investigation.
Perhaps, yeah. You do have the highest passive. I can definitely see that. So you all kind of like move around, and you don't split up too much. I don't think it would be unwise to do so. But what you do manage to do is you kind of begin
He's
scouring.
tripping over his own feet.
Yeah. Investigating the what remains of the Stalfos, you can find a rusted longsword and scraps and pieces of what appear to be studded leather armor for a creature that is probably one size smaller than the one that would be wearing it. But that's it. In regards to other bits and pieces around the cave itself, you don't really find anything else worth of note. It being in the middle of the Lost Woods leads to the unfortunate situation in which not really many individuals would find themselves here. Yeah.
Most of the hosts are probably animals.
Yeah.
So we have found a rusted sword. I have a rusted breastplate and a rusted shield, so now we have a complete set of armor and weaponry.
What if I cast mending on it?
Interesting. I was actually considering looking for an Octorok.
You're missing the greaves. I'm kidding.
So, if you try and cast mending on it, it does repair some of the rust. It would probably take a couple more castings and a bit more time in order to get it back to a standard state of a sword.
Yeah, and that's just not the patience right now.
Yeah.
And besides, like, the state it is in currently, what was the... Can we see if it was of any particular quality, or if it was just run-of-the-mill blacksmiths?
Your passive history, I'd say, is probably fairly good.
16?
Yeah. So with that, you can see that the actual weapon itself is it looks to be a standard pattern longsword. It has a hand and half handle. It has a rounded pommel, a simple crossguard, and a straight blade with with what you can assume to be a fairly modest fuller, it's just something that looks like a blacksmith of all right skill could probably generate multiple of in order to sell to multiple people. Like, it's just like not necessarily like supremely mass produced off a production line. It's just something like one of a batch. But otherwise, it serves a purpose. It doesn't really have any kind, even through the rust, you can't see any kind of noted insignia of it, and it doesn't seem to be. It doesn't look. It doesn't. Its design doesn't suggest that it is of an age that is significantly far into the past. It might have simply been either the sword that the person who became the Stalfos was buried with, or it was something that they were given after they had been turned into a Stalfos.
I see. Okay.
I'd say as well, as far as trying to figure out whether or not there's anything you might have missed, in regards to the Goma, I would take a nature check. In regards to potential involvement of the Sovereign Hand, I would take an insight check. In fact, I might not need that because you guys have got some pretty hefty passive insights to go along with it. So
I've got a 20 for looking at Goma.
Okay, so looking into the matter of the Goma as to whether or not there is anything that you need to worry about. With the 20, you know that, at the very least, for a discernible amount of time, if this Goma queen was the center of this hive mind, then its destruction would mean that the rest of the Goma within the wider vicinity will be confused and, at the very least, easier to deal with in the near future. It will take a while before the hive mind kind of calms itself down and is able to reorientate itself into a more coordinated force, and it will take a matter of months at the earliest for one larva to declare itself queen and grow to a different form of creature. And for the intervening time, if this hive is indeed connected to the one in the Hylia settlement, which it may well be, since Goma hives and the hive mind in question can stretch for miles to a single queen, it's entirely possible that treating the people in the Hylia settlement and whoever has been affected elsewhere will be easier to deal with. It's also possible that any other kind of small local growing spawning locations like Blackmoor Castle would be easier to clean out. So there was definitely a benefit for you coming here and doing this. It just means that at this point in time, if there's going to be any more permanent solution, then it would have to happen now-ish. Like if you let it go as it is, then it will just come back as a problem still. Now is the time for healing, and hopefully Sophitia, Marshall, and others like them will be able to provide that healing in question.
All right.
Another thing we might want to work out is what the queen was parasiting in order to become such a powerful thing.
Well, with the actually, that's a point, because there's not. I'm not sure how much would be left of the queen after it was hit with a blight. Roll for me a D100 and see how lucky you are.
I'll do it because I asked.
Right.
49.
Ooh.
I'm 49
Road.
lucky.
Okay. With a prior investigation check that you have already done, I'll use Kai's for this one since it was so high. You do manage to find, in the muck of the swampy water, you do manage to find at least a few bits and pieces of what was the queen. That could potentially be identified by someone. Yeah, like bones or bits of flesh, like things that could be identified by someone who could sit down and has more of an encyclopedic knowledge of these sorts of things, or perhaps like just a general thing to ponder over at a later time.
Find out design.
Also check it out, but it's not my expertise.
I'll be needing some nature rolls.
11. Unless I'm getting help for Renji, in which case it'd be 20.
I do want to help because I don't think I would be able to roll that good.
Max is just going to read his books and see if there's
15%
anything there.
chance.
Okay. Let's see. So, with a 20, you can discern that this is possibly... There are few creatures in the natural world that are capable of psionic powers, or at least having influence over people's minds. But then, if there were places in Hyrule that could potentially house them, it would definitely be the Lost Woods. you theorize that this might be a creature that has some kind of connection with nature as a whole. Perhaps it was some lesser forest spirit that had something more or less akin to like a unicorn or something like that. Something of that magical nature had been infected by something. Trying to think of a suitable creature it could have been. I don't seem to have one, and I didn't write this down as a note, so I'll make it up.
Stumped the DM. We win.
You have stumped the DM.
We've won Hyrule Chronicles.
Did it. Yay.
Zayden, you believe this to be a...
Sorry, my mic was muted.
That's right.
I said we won.
Yeah.
We won D&D because we stumped the DM.
Yeah. So you believe this to be some kind of creature known as a Centenac. They have similar kind of build as like oxen, where they're quadrupedal, almost bovine creatures with large, strong upper bodies. The shape of the creature that you fought in the cave was definitely a wild transformation that had taken it to no longer look like that. But Centenacs have at the very least have some kind of mild ability to mess with the minds of other creatures in order mostly to kind of ward them off of different paths and just trying to keep them away from dangerous locations.
Is a Centenac a type of beast?
It is in fact a fae.
Oh.
Yes.
Fae.
Indeed. But yeah, one of those must have. That's the working theory that you come to. One of these creatures must have been found and bitten by the Goma, and it being a naturally powerful beast by comparison of other things it has infected, it just took over the hive mind and had created the Cerebrogoma that you have just fought.
Curious.
Mm.
And are these native to Hyrule?
Hard to say. They're really, really rare. So it's yeah.
It might be Lost specific.
Mm.
Especially with the whole make people go different directions powers.
Yeah. That is likely.
Yeah. Yes. So what now?
All right. We good taking a look?
I think I would prefer to get some fresh air. Yes.
All right, let's get out of here then.
Okay. So you wend your way back out of the cave and find yourself taking in much fresher air out into the Lost Woods once more. Still, the area around you is still kind of devoid of life, at least compared to the rest of the Lost Woods, but it doesn't smell as bad. There's still like fungal growths that are still just hanging around in this particular area close to the entrance of the cave, but otherwise it's at least a little bit more pleasant here.
Take a breath. Start cleaning myself up.
Clean ties armor,
Uh,
as promised.
Thank you kindly.
I do glance over at my fellow party members to see if there's anything that I can help with, if not for just a quick prestidigitation to clean off some of the gunk.
Is this the same type of mold that was at Blackmore Castle?
Yes. At a
Let's
glance,
burn
it looks
this.
very... Yeah. Mara, who's been kind of standing and kind of writing stuff into her book, as like she doesn't seem to really care about the gunk that she's got on her boots and stuff. She just kind of continues writing. As you say, well, let's burn this. You go, oh, sure. She puts the book away and takes out a couple of vials of like alchemical fire, hands them out to people in order to set to work on
It's as if the librarian offers to get some Molotov cocktails.
If anyone would know how to make them, it'd be the librarian.
Yeah.
I mean, they may have the cookbook, yes.
Librarians are powerful.
They are.
I'm also
Do not
gonna
underestimate them.
clean off her stuff as well.
Oh, thank you.
Don't want to track spores out the forest and everything.
Yeah, I'm prestidigitating as if I'm using a spray bottle.
It's time for the hazmat clean.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Everything must be clean.
Yeah. So yes, you spend a little time burning away some of the fungal growths that have just attached themselves to dead trees under rocks, that sort of thing. And it takes roughly 45 minutes to get everything ablazing. But when they do go up, they go up fairly quickly. And thankfully, with multiple spellcasters in the party and one learned alchemist, you are able to contain the blaze so it doesn't spread to the Lost Woods. Though, Zayden, you feel that even then, the Lost Woods are not exactly a natural forest by comparison to most natural forests. They probably have a defense mechanism against fires.
And defense mechanism they have against everything. The
Yeah.
fire gets lost.
Oh, it's just like, oh shit, where am I?
That'd be great. It's just like this one errant fire just someone stumbles upon in the Lost Woods because they got the fire lost. That's just so good. It's like that's my favorite. That's one of the favorite things I want to do with a bag of devouring adventuring hook, because the way it describes it is that it eats the item and it spits it out somewhere else among the plains. You just have a bunch of people in a pub somewhere, and then something really valuable just drops on the table, and the cook is like, find out what the fuck that you have to do with that is. But yes. After burning away some of the what remains of Goma presence, at least within this immediate area, the air now smells not really of damp or fungalness. It just smells of burning. But otherwise, you are in a much safer area. Did you want to take a short or long rest here, or did you want to go somewhere else, or?
I'm okay getting a bit further away from it.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I'm thinking maybe we can pass by the great Deku tree on the way, maybe rest underneath his boughs, and
Maybe if he's okay with that.
if he's okay
I
with
don't
that,
think he'd
of
be okay with
course.
that.
I see. Okay.
We rested there last time.
Did we?
Yeah.
He at least offered to allow you to have a short rest, yeah.
Yeah. And we just held
I
them
guess.
out, so, you know.
Yeah.
We'll head back there and then rest there.
Yeah,
And
he's
in the
okay.
meantime, on the way there, just check for any particular check for any sign of organized Goma.
Crime?
Like when we get back to the literally like when we step into an area where it's more living again, I'll just shout out, "Hey, big guy, if you'll just wanna funnel any Goma to us. We'll take care of them on the way. And just shout that out into the Lost Woods.
Okay.
Also fair.
Okay. So as you begin moving through and you shout that into the open ether, I'd like you to make for me a persuasion check.
Yeah, absolutely. With my +1 persuasion, here we go. That's
I
a
would like
6.
to help.
That's a natural
Can I help
20.
by just being scary?
And that's a natural
If-
20.
If you shout like that, and then I would probably just shout along with it, like, if you would be so kind, we would love to help in that regard.
Okay, so I will grant advantage on that because of that. I would say the intimidation does help, but then again, it's the Great Deku Tree. Even with your 23 intimidation, I don't think you can intimidate
No, I'm
the
not
Great
trying
Deku
to.
Tree.
I'm not trying to intimidate him. I'm trying to tell him that I'm scary and therefore can fight Gurman.
Okay, fair enough.
Very
So you don't get a
persuasive. I mean,
verbal
intimidative.
you don't get a verbal response. But as you begin making your way back towards the Great Deku Tree, with Zayden leading the group through the Lost Woods, as is tradition, you do occasionally see.
As is kind of required.
As is required, yeah, that's a better word for it. You do occasionally see lava or other infected creatures kind of stumble through into view, and
Salvage blast.
yeah, won't need to do combat for this one because, as before in the cave, they are essentially harmless and easily taken care of. It's just a very active walk back. Very enthusiastic walk back.
At some point, Kai tries to make a game out of it and just like, let's see how far I can hit this one, and just golf swings with his maul.
Actually, I think after a while, I will start using aspiration to just hunt them down and cut them, burn them to a crisp with radiant damage, because I realize whenever I shoot one of those with an Eldritch Blast, they disappear.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hey, I've been meaning to ask.
Max, I think Max's tactic is just use shock and grasp on foot and kick them.
What is it, Kai?
I've been meaning to ask, what's with those black pixels things when you hit them with your stuff?
It's a kind of magic of mine. To quote Queen, basically, when something I kill with this magic, it disappears. Very useful, but not. It's useful in certain circumstances, but maybe not all. Definitely not all.
All right.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not trying to deceive Kai, but I am
making
trying
you
to
roll a
hide
check.
some. Like, I'm not sharing everything.
Yeah.
Kai's wisdom is a 1. He's not gonna push. Plus a 1, rather. My modifiers.
Yeah. So, you can't be sure as to whether or not you got them all by the time you do manage to get your way back to the glade of the Great Deku Tree, but you do go through a lot of them. Perhaps in the sense of marathon walking and fighting. Whatever muscle or magical font of magical power you have feels a bit strained by the time you walk into the clearing, and once again see the great tree before you, circling around to its carved wooden face. there's creaks and cracks of wood as it begins to move in response to you. And it says, Zaidun Shari, you have done well. Actually, no, wrong context. Thou hast done well.
Thank you.
Max just kind of vaguely grumbles, "Can we help?"
Thine companions can rest with thee here, should thou require it. It is earned, to say the least.
I believe we are in need of weapons.
Good. I have a question for thee.
Yes?
Is your mind still ill at ease?
I think it's about how it usually will.
The spectres of thine past, to face them again, even if so briefly, is a pain that I do not wish upon anyone. As always, thou hast mine condolences.
Thank you.
And thou hast mine apologies. I did not wish for thee to experience such a thing, and had not anticipated the Goma to be capable of such awful trickery. I shall redouble mine efforts in protecting such a sacred place.
Thank you.
Pray, rest for as long as thou needest. I shall do what I must to protect thee. With that, the tree ceases to move and goes silent.
As the great Deku tree falls silent, I think Renji kind of like rushes up and says, "Please, may I speak, great Deku tree?"
Make a persuasion check.
I mean, I am good at those. That is a natural 20.
Damn.
So with a 33.
A 33. My goodness.
Oh dear.
Pretty
Yeah.
please.
And like I drop to a knee as I say this to enhance the reverence that I wish to show.
Okay. There is a disconcerting amount of silence before the tree begins to move and speak again and say, "Thou hast a question for me."
Yes, I do. You are here as guardian of these woods.
Aye.
Does your influence, does your will extend further?
There hath been a time in which I would send mine children into the greater world to spread life by planting a seed. They would take such joy in their travels. However, the fires of war that have raged within Hyrule for so long have left me wondering how safe it would be to send such fragile creatures out to spread this life again. And so until this war comes to a close and this great darkness has been abated, they remain here. But rest assured, my influence, if needed, can travel far and wide.
And in this time of strife, would one not wish, even while protecting their own, would one not want a champion?
There's another pause. You can't tell whether or not he genuinely has ceased to talk for a very long time. But during the intermittent during that intermittent silence, there is an opportunity for a voice to enter the back of your mind, and it says, "Renji."
Please, not now. Grown-ups are talking.
But it's needed now. I know that you are eager to end our little agreement. But need I remind you of the predicament that Delilah has put herself in by making covenants with more than one?
Yeah, you've never really given me details about that.
I believe this would be the third time I'm telling you now, Renji. But allow me to refresh your memory. Delilah Summerborn, in an effort to gain power with little consequence, made a deal with me, the same deal that I had with you. Grant her power, and she would simply provide me with what she kills. However, in that same swing, she has decided to sell her soul to another power, a Fey power, one of the great fairies, one of the less charitable great fairies.
Yes, you've mentioned, but again, what are the consequences? Because that is unclear to me.
No one likes to share property. No one likes to be lied to on how faithful they are to their contracts.
I'm not unfaithful. We are here to negotiate your terms.
I appreciate your honesty.
The both of us are already in the process of me getting out from underneath your thumb.
Indeed.
If you can contact me like this, then you know probably where I am. You know who I am talking to, because otherwise you wouldn't be talking to me right now. You would know how close I am.
I am aware of that, yes. But I need to remind you that you cannot be making additional agreements while you're still under my contract.
I'm merely trying to see possible alternatives.
I see. And the thought of providing your own power without an external force to guide you, has that escaped your notice? Are you truly nothing without a greater power guiding your steps, Renji?
I'm not sure like how this conversation is going outwardly, but I think that Renji probably like he already dropped to a knee for the great Deku tree, and he probably like sat like Caesar like knees folded no like feet folded under himself. But he's probably like bent over onto the ground as he chats with the harvester right now.
That's fine.
Is he
and
speaking out loud?
probably not, though maybe the last few lines, yeah.
But yeah, as he says, the harvester just kind of continues, says,
I do not object to you seeking alternative employment, but just remember that you cannot truly consider yourself linked to something else until we are fully done. Besides, the great Deku tree is a noble spirit from what I remember. I do not think he would take it kindly that you would enter in a covenant with him and risk being linked back to me. Think on that for a moment, Renji. Dwell on it, and then we will speak again when you are closer to terminating our deal.
and then he goes silent.
Oh, Renji has such a headache.
If the great Deku tree has noticed, he hasn't said anything about it.
Let me see. Trying to gather my thoughts, I shake my head. Look up at the great Deku tree, wondering if he is going to respond, or if not. And if not, I think I will take a short rest.
In response to your question before your conversation with the harvester, he the great Deku tree simply says, "Champions are required, but must have certain merit. Do take care when considering what you are suggesting." Dwell on it. Take some time.
That's the same thing that the harvester said, didn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, but there's a different context to it.
Yeah,
Essentially, the Deku tree is saying, "This is a big decision. Sleep on it," and then he finishes it off by saying, "If thou wouldst seek to be mine champion, as you so put it, then request Zayden bring you back here, and we shall discuss further. I sense a noble spirit in you, but one must be cautious when committing themselves to such a thing."
Only
then he falls silent.
Too aware of this. And as he falls silent, there's a pause as like the silence spreads. And then getting up, I will bow and I will say, "Thank you for listening to my petition." And I think I will then join my companions, and I will probably have to Use
Max
a
simply,
hit die or
Max,
two.
Max simply says, "I like him more than the other guy."
You've never spoken to the other guy, so
I've seen you speak to the other guy.
yeah, touche. And you're right, he's leagues better, I believe.
The other guy can hear me tell him he can go fuck himself.
I don't know if that works that way, but noted. Kind of rub my temples. I shouldn't do that on camera because my VTuber model just goes bleh.
Oh,
But I will use a hit die
are we gonna long rest or short
or
rest?
two.
Your
Yes,
choice.
we can do either.
I would
Yeah.
like a long rest. I have spell slots to get back.
In that case, I'm happy for a long rest. Like I can do short.
I would like my everything back, please. I spent a bunch of sorcery points and spell slots,
I didn't even use any spell slots.
but you don't need to. You're a warlock.
Hey,
Eldritch
still
Blast
a
is
big
great.
part of spellcasting.
And it's like,
You're
yeah,
a
but Eldritch Blast is
roguelike.
great.
I'm a roguelock, yeah.
Yeah.
And also, you have a cool sword.
I do have a cool sword, yes.
Yeah.
It's a laser sword.
That's just money. So long rest it is.
It is just money, but also I couldn't wield it because it's uses short sword or long sword.
Yeah.
Yeah. Long. It's a long sword. For the purposes of the sword itself, but it is versatile and finesse weapon.
Means rogues can use it
Yeah.
and get their sneaks attacks.
Mm-hmm. It is very weird to me that a
Very sneaky laser beam.
very sneaky exactly.
Pay no attention to the laser beam.
I will press the long rest button.
Hey, press your long rest buttons. While under the protection of the Great Deku Tree, you do not need to set up watches. However, if there are things that you want to talk about or do during the course of the night, you're more than welcome to do so.
Well, Sidon's gonna check with the Decker Tree first that he's okay watching over these guys, and he's gonna go into town to visit. Be a bit rude to come this far and not say hi.
That's fair. Yeah.
I want to go where the people are.
That would be very, very bad if you want to make a deal with the Deku Tree.
Yeah.
Maybe.
You don't get to see them dancing.
No.
Yeah. So, yes. The Great Deku Tree is fine with this. And he trusts you, so he's more than willing to keep an eye as you head through a few of the trees which kind of close behind you. Like you can tell that the Lost Woods is very secure about where you're going. It's
Constant chaperone.
Yeah, and the trees would not create a path for you if you were not by yourself. But yeah, you head into a clearing where, out of a great many of the trees there appears to be a small, idyllic little village with homes that appear to be made for individuals that are very much not of your size. And there's just... I mean, I imagine it's pretty late, but I don't know what the sleeping schedule of Kokiri are like, but they...
They have beds, so I assume they sleep.
They must sleep, yeah. It's...
I mean, they probably just sleep whenever.
But occasionally there's just a like, and the weird thing is you've seen this before. To an outside observer, there would be just this instance of, is a small little quaint village that appears to be completely empty, But I'm gonna see who greets you first. Oh no.
It's fucking Mido.
Like, as you kind of like come through the clearing and see this village, that one individual apparates before you. He stands with a wide stance, and he puts up a hand in defiance. And he's got this scruffy red hair under a pointed green cap, and he's wearing green clothes, and he's very clearly a child with freckles, but he looks at you defiantly, and even after a moment of recognizing who you are, the stern expression does not go away, and says, "Halt!"
What Simon's going to do is he's going to reach down, he's going to take his hands, he's going to pick up Mido and put him to the side.
This is so undignified! Bring it to... Not there! No!
Unacceptable!
No! It's just... Oh dear.
Well, everyone knows you're there now.
Yeah. There is just a the screams of Mido, which are thankfully not audible through the rest of the trees back to the glade, are heard by the rest of the village. And soon, just after like appearing, are other Kokiri who kind of look over and see you, and some of them smile and wave. Others are kind of a little bit cautious because it has been a while since you've been back. But otherwise, they just
wave.
Yeah.
He'll go find a stump to sit on.
Yeah. As you sit down on a stump, all of them rush over, and some of them immediately sit down cross-legged and just they just kind of like as if kids rushing to enjoy a good rousing round of story time. Like
Poseidon will begin telling them stories of his adventures so far. Somewhat, what's the word? Censored of any too unpleasant details.
Yeah.
What the world is like outside at the moment, and everything he's done since he's been out.
Yeah, they listen enraptured to you. They just love the stories that you tell. Some of them asking questions. The know-it-all brothers in particular are just going to ask questions, and possibly like occasionally when another Kokiri has a question, they're the ones who turn around and kind of try and clarify it. But because there's only so much they can learn when they haven't really left the forest. So on a good occasion that they are wrong. But yeah, they just enjoy the stories. They love it. They love it to bits. It's quite clear that they have missed you greatly. Even Mido, indignant as always, just kind of sits at the back of the group, folded arms, but he still listens. He still listens intently to the stories that you have to tell, even if his expression says otherwise. And yeah, it's this... Despite what you have experienced both in your life and in this journey by itself, it's odd. But it's both comforting and saddening how innocent the Kokiri are in this situation. That they listen to you enthralled of your stories, and they see it in the same vein as any child would see any fairy tale. And you kind of find yourself, I guess, maybe it is up to you, but it's good that they don't know the full truth of it, because it would be difficult to see to have their perception of the world around them kind of ruined by what really happens and what really goes on, and all the death and destruction that you have witnessed in the past. What was it? How many months have you guys been out adventuring? Is it at least 2?
Something like that.
Yeah.
I have no idea how much time.
It tracks time. That'd
It's
be
been
crazy.
it's been forever in Kokiri time, probably.
Yeah. But yeah.
Been 2 lifetimes.
But yeah, they just, regardless of anything, they are happy that you are there. How long do you spend telling stories to the Kokiri?
Well, I only need 4 hours rest, so I guessed about 4 hours.
Fair enough. You must have a lot of stories to tell.
I mean, as you say, it's been a couple months.
Yeah. Yeah. Every so often they do kind of try and interject. Not necessarily to interrupt your story or do anything like that, but there is an enthusiasm for the Kokiri to then in turn tell you stories of their home. They want to tell you of the latest goings on in the Kokiri
Well,
forest.
I'll certainly stop telling stories till it ends instead.
Yeah, I mean they don't take up as much time, and it is kind of like, it is the fairly mundane happenings that go on, that you would expect when children tell stories. Lots of and then and just kind of like just kind of building up off each different thing.
As Aiden is going to do, he's going to enforce a policy where the one telling the stories, the one who gets to sit on the stump, and he'll move to sit on the grass.
A lot of
Policy was
substance,
made.
lack of structure.
Yeah. But yeah, they thoroughly enjoy your presence there and are thankful for it. And their fairy companions, each one of them will mirror that. The fairy guardians that they have been assigned by the Great Deku Tree will kind of just like help focus their own stories, and they will also kind of try and provide the moral teachings that come with certain stories like these, just to kind of clarify, like, and that's why you don't do this or something like that. But yeah. And while you were doing that, what's everybody else doing?
Well, I mean, I was just gonna ask if there was a certain future sage that was there doing anything special in regards to listening to stories, even though I'm not there, because we've already interacted with one future sage, so I figure might as well ask.
That's true. Saria, the green-haired Saria, is she's patient. She's kind of, she won't really speak unless directly asked a question, but it's not necessarily out of shyness. It's mostly to kind of allow her friends and the Kokiri to have their turn and just kind of indulge in it. Saria is definitely the most mature of the Kokiri, and while not the de facto leader, because Mido has constantly put himself in that position, though nobody listens to him, she'll just kind of sit and smile and nod, and I suppose there is one question she asks, which, when everything quiets down enough for her to ask it, she says, "So, you see, the Great Deku Tree, and the Great Deku Tree always says that the outside world's really dangerous right now. Do you think there might be a time when we might be able to go back out?"
I would imagine there will be one day. But I fear my sense of danger is less than it was. You would do well to listen to his advice in that regard.
Yeah.
But as I say, it seems likely there will become a day where you will be able to.
I suppose so. I mean, it's been a really long time. But to be honest, I'm not exactly really eager to go out there. But it would be nice to see what the world is like outside the forest someday.
Well, when such a safe day comes along, I'd happily be your guide.
Thank you. And as you say that, so many of the Koku's like, us too, we want to do it too. Like it suddenly becomes like the general enthusiasm of a school trip out into the wide world.
Harry school trip. Amazing.
The world is doomed.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh dear. But yeah, yeah. So she's definitely there. She's definitely invested, but just is. Other than that particular question, is just quietly listening along, enjoying the company, enjoying the stories.
Valid.
Yeah. But yeah. Is anybody else doing anything particular while they rest?
I think Renji is just a little bit lost in thoughts and considering what the great Deku tree has said. Trying to figure out what he really wants. And also, while it is kind of like a sore spot for him, he's trying to figure out what the Harvester meant by trying to find his own power.
Well, after getting some of his stuff together, I'll take a look around and go, well, I was going to check on the old guy, see if he was alright, since he had a very rough day today. But he left, and he'll just kind of get up, favoring one knee from like, no, worked too much today. Alright, and he'll just hover over to Renji for a little bit.
Escape the emotions.
Renji will just nod and Renji is probably, instead of like sleeping as he is used to doing, he will probably just trance and rest that way. But he's grateful for the presence of Kai.
So,
This is just somewhere vaguely nearby reading.
Yeah.
you got weird magic, and you're talking about being the champion of a tree man. No offense. Want to talk about it?
Don't really know what to say, so if you have questions, I might have answers, but don't really know where to start.
Well, not entirely sure what some of that muttering was about. Didn't really catch a whole lot of it, so I don't really know what questions to ask.
That was
And
my...
as I've said before, I'm the new guy, so I don't want to be too pushy. But
I mean, you've seen us in action, you've seen what we can do.
sure.
To be a little bit more open with you, and I know you're respected by the great brother, by Darunia. What you heard me talk to was my current Employer isn't the right word.
Source of power.
Also, I've read Max. While you were sleeping.
I'm reading.
Renji catches himself before saying something rude. My current, I guess, patron would be a way to describe it, is willing to give me an out. However, still a bit of a stickler for rules and contracts. So, me talking to the great Deku Tree about any possible deals makes him a little bit antsy. I wasn't planning on breaking any contracts just yet. But he kind of jumped the gun there. I don't know what a gun is, but he jumped it.
Oh, we've seen guns. They were in Sargasso.
Yeah,
I thought
Max was
cannons.
shot with one.
Oh, yes,
The
yes.
boat captain had one. I can't remember his name.
Yes, that is true.
Fairwind shot you with it.
Fairwind. Yes, my bad. Then yes, I am fully aware of that idiom.
Right. So, just to make sure I'm on the same page real quick, you have this aspect in order to try to get out of this contract, fine print, so to speak. I'm familiar with that, at least. And you were looking at other options, even though stuff's there, not there. Right, even though the terms of the previous agreement haven't been null and void. That about right?
That about right.
Alright. So then my next question is in regards to that is, why does your face look like that when I came over? Because that's just you sitting there taking a look at other options. I haven't really seen many people take a look like that when they're just considering options compared to thinking about something that somebody might have said.
My current patron is very insistent. And conversations with him aren't exactly pleasant. I can't really give you an example. Let me try and give you a bit of a comparison. So, the way we're talking, right? Like, you hear what I'm saying, my voice travels to your ears, and then your ears make sense of what I'm saying, so you understand. When he talks to me, I feel his words not in my ears. I feel them stabbing into my brain. It doesn't,
I think
as far as I can tell, it doesn't give any lasting damage, but it isn't pleasant.
what I'm trying to say is it's been a little while after the fact and you look like you're chewing over something, not that you're in pain.
Well,
I mean, to be perfectly honest, I knew the guy was a right dick because Max over there said that he was a right dick, and perfectly honest, Max is a pretty good judge of character.
I am.
Seemed to be
You are.
for me so far.
take the compliment. There was something that he said at the end of the conversation. I would say I'm a decently powerful warrior. But that's not on my own power. That's because I made a deal. I've been given potential. And when I break this contract, I don't know what I'll be. What I'll be able to do.
Did he say he would take what you've already got away from you when the contract's over?
The book isn't exactly clear on that. Oh, Kai, but I found a book when I was, well, just of age,
I don't think
and
it's
that's how I got into this. But says a lot about how to start the relationship, but not so much about breaking it up. The consequences of it. So there's some uncertainty, and I will say some anxiety.
I have a question for you, Renji. You a big sports fan, whether or not that's watching people do just like big feats of strength or watching people wrestle? Sumo's a really big thing with us Gorons. But, like, anything like that?
Not really. It's never really caught my attention.
If you've got somebody that's sitting there trying to struggle with something like, I don't know, maybe they put too much weight on one knee and it snapped really nasty like, completely unrelated to anything that we're talking about here. I don't know, it's purely hypothetical, absolutely nothing to do with anyone here.
You see Renji just glancing down at Kai's knee. It's very obvious.
Yeah. Do you think that they're then unable to continue to do things after that? Or is it just that they need to figure out a different place to focus on? Because, like, a buddy of mine did have an accident like that happen. And while he couldn't sit there and perform to those, to that standard, and he had to retire from that relatively early, he still was able to go around and find other things to do. His gifts, physical gifts, were taken from him, albeit due to a poor mistake. But he was still able to find a different way to apply his talents. Think that might be something that you're able to do in this situation?
I take your meaning, but there's other things.
Like?
Kind of points over at my facial markings, which I think by now will look rather smudged, even with the prestidigitation that I've been trying to keep up.
Okay.
I'm, well, not just me, Zayden too. We're Sheikah.
Sure.
And basically, there are, well, there's not really a choice we have. The only choice that we have in life is, it's not really what we want to do, but it's how we serve the royal family.
I'm failing to see how this goes against anything so far. I might have to walk me through it a little more.
The Jacob really don't like the guy who he currently has a deal with.
Sure, so let's just say break the deal.
That's that's even further than what I was going for, but so me taking the deal and getting these powers, it was a way for me to kind of step out of my fate-given lot, to not just stay in the castle and then probably go back to Kakariko to be some sort of servant for the elders there, because I don't really have any skills. Like my dad gave me an education, but I never really excelled at anything.
All right. You do now. Look, I've watched you. And I know magic when I see it. And I know not magic when I see it. The way that you move and the things that you've done outside of shooting those balls at things and turning invisible and teleporting and what else it is that you do, I don't know all the entire list of stuff. That's you. That's not some mystical being looking at you and going, oh yeah, here you go. Like, the way that you move is you.
It really isn't.
Really?
Yeah. Why don't we spar? Give me, like, I don't know, a stick or something. We can do some.
No, and he'll throw his warhammer at you. Go ahead.
Okay. Is that a regular warhammer?
Yeah, it's a regular warhammer.
It's a regular warhammer.
Orange-sized warhammer.
Okay, is it so it's a mole?
Yeah.
I'm happy to just pick out a warhammer, pick it up. Let's see. There we go. It's completely normal.
Mhm. We're getting ready for a long rest, so my armor's doffed.
Okay. I think my armor is doffed as well in that case. Don't have the Rod of the Pact Keeper on at the moment. And in that case, we make some space and
Max
start
has closed
sparring.
his book and is just watching Kai very closely.
Okay. I think I will attempt to attack Kai.
Okay.
Okay.
That's a 10.
Almost. I see the count right now. I wanted a positive initiative, okay?
Fine. That's okay. But yeah. Perhaps a warhammer isn't a weapon that you've used all that often, so it's understandable that the balance feels a bit weird and it may seem a bit unwieldy as you.
But specifically, it is not my pact weapon. It is not a hex weapon.
Yeah. So you kind of you swing, and Kai, being more martially trained in this regard, is aware of the basic swing and is able to maneuver out of the way.
I will then start pushing an offensive, and generally Kai is going to keep going until Renji starts doing some of his rogue stuff.
Okay.
Whether that's disengaging or dashing or anything like that, and he keeps going and going and going.
Okay.
Because even like if Renji dodges as a bonus action, because I'm the type of fighter I am, I can keep up.
Yeah.
Type of thing.
Okay.
Okay.
And I would say that, like, at any point where it gets to a certain aspect to it, about 3-4 minutes, because we've already had a very long day already. Okay.
Yep.
Bit short of breath, goes, you see, Here's the thing, you weren't using magic at all in that, were you?
I wasn't. I wanted to show you what I'm like. Normally.
Right. Right. Now, obviously, I'm a person who's put more physical prowess into things. And yet, even when I'm sitting there, pushing as much as I can, you are physically, on your own, making it so that way I have to work for it. Does that make sense? You are not the gifts, if they can even be called that this person has given you. You are more than that. To be perfectly honest, you can apply it and do it in different ways too. You're well read, you can try that. I don't know what other types of magics that Sheikah might have access to. No Sheikah. I don't even know what kind of magics my people have access to be perfectly honest. Other than reading. Witchcraft. No, I'm kidding. That one was out of character.
Max Squints.
There does come a point as we calm down and I hand back the warhammer.
Because the thing is that you had the warhammer and I'm chasing you with the maul.
Yeah. So the thing is, I think Renji also will check to see where the Sending Stone is because he has an inkling that Kai and Hikan have been communicating.
Kai has not talked to
I think
Hikan.
Sidon has it right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kai has not talked to Hikan since Darunia introduced them.
Fair. I know this, but Renji has his doubts. Also, he is winded and he is going to have sore muscles in a bit because he's not been relying on the Hex Warrior stuff. So his force of will, if charisma can be called that, hasn't been strengthening him, so he is going to be sore. And as he looks over at Kai, he just breathes. My magic, well, his magic is what gave me my first taste of what it is like to make my own choices. And I've paid for it. I've suffered for it.
Have you learned?
I don't know. Because when I think about this, when I hear the possibility of maybe losing this and being what I always was again, I worry that the opportunity of choice will be taken away again.
It won't.
That might not.
We won't let it.
Like, this isn't me being flippant about it or anything. It won't. The thing is that you said so yourself, is that even if you didn't have a choice in what it is that you do, like, look, I'm a Goron. We work in a brotherhood. Anyone that goes against that kind of just drags everyone down. It's kind of how it is. But at the end of the day, with how we operate, with how the things that we are there, we have a choice in how we go about helping each other. Roto's a great man. Roto likes to sit there and go out and do merchant stuff. A lot of us like to go out and do merchant stuff. Allows us to go see the world. I was pretty good at hitting things, and I figured that, well, Gorons are pretty sturdy, but maybe the Hylian folk that decide to come up, or some of the Zoras that come over, aren't necessarily built for that kind of thing.
What, you're saying I should become a Goron?
I'm saying if
Okay.
you want to see the world... I'm saying if you want to see the world and you want to do all of that stuff, you can see about what it's like to become a Sheikah scout. I'm saying if you want to sit there and do your magic fancy stuff, maybe you should go about it in a different way. I'm saying that if you want to sit there and try to figure it all out, maybe talk to some of the other Sheikah that have done some of the other things. I mean...
Technically, you could become a Goron. I think I have access to reincarnate now.
You want to be a Goron? Pull out the mall.
We'll be trampled by a giant elk first.
Yeah, well, it might take a couple goes, remember?
Yeah.
I know. I am not looking forward to that option.
There's a lot to it. And I understand being scared, since everything that's in front of you might go away. But all things considered, you are more than you're giving yourself credit for. And how you decide to go about embracing your destiny and whatever that may entail, in regards to the grand scheme of things, that is your choice. Now, I need a little bit more sleep than the rest of you, so I do apologize for cutting this short.
It's okay. Thank you for not sparring with me.
Mm-hmm. Alright. I'm gonna go get some sleep. And then he like curls over next to a part of the root of the Deku tree, gets on his knees, and then just falls over.
And Max pulls the claws of his gauntlet out of the book he was holding, which he'd been doing the entire time they were sparring, and mends it.
Yeah. With
Oh, Renji.
This lady is gonna be it.
um
Guy isn't part of the horde yet.
That is valid.
That is fair.
Speaking of, has Max made Mara part of the horde?
Yeah, probably by now.
Okay. So you're probably the first to notice that sometime before they started the sparring happened, she slinked off somewhere and hasn't been seen since.
Did I see which way she went?
Yeah, seems like she's gone around one side of the Deku tree.
So, I'm taking a bit of a walk. Can't really sleep right now. Then I'll stand up and go after her.
Looking for Mara? I have a passive perception of 20. If I don't get that, that's fine. I'm just taking some liberties.
That's fine. That's okay.
Just don't want her to get lost.
I understand. Want me to come with?
Do you need more time with your thoughts?
I don't think so.
I'll be fine.
Right.
Okay.
Let's back down.
So is it Max going alone?
Yep.
Okay. So you begin wandering around the base of the Deku tree. It is an immense tree, so there's a fair bit of walking to do. As you get round the back of the tree, you can hear Mara talking. Seems like a one-sided conversation.
Do I hear any of what she's saying?
If you wish to, without her noticing, I may require a stealth check, but it won't be a difficult one.
10.
Okay. Yeah, 10's enough.
Oh.
So you get a little bit closer, and from what you can see, she's got her back to the Deku tree, and she's kind of like talking upwards, as if just talking to thin air. But the tail end of the conversation that you hear is, I think you might be more likely to understand. This whole scenario is more than I thought it would be. But I can't stop. Not now. I took up this post, and I'll see it to the end. It's my job. I have to. I just needed a vent, I guess. And you're the only one I can talk to about it all. Don't tell them, please. I can tell them when this is all over, but now I can't worry them. They're my best friends. The best I've ever had. I can't do that to them. Thanks for listening. If you were listening, I guess. I think it helped. Kind of like deflates a bit more and looks down, looks at the book in her hands, and then prepares to stand up and head back.
I'm gonna act like I was in the middle of walking and step on a twig.
Oh. Hey.
Eh.
Sorry, I didn't want to get in the way of, so I came around here to,
You're
just,
getting away of.
yeah, I guess, sorry, I didn't mean to worry anyone, I just wanted to do a bit of, thinking, I guess.
From the looks of it, it's not particularly happy thinking.
Guess not. I guess it's been a little disconcerting in certain cases, I mean, it's I've already talked about this before when we were at the festival and we had that picture taken and everything. I just I guess I still have my doubts on occasion, but I'm if you guys will still have me, then I still want to help.
Absolutely.
I don't know. I don't know. I'll how much of that did you hear?
Not much. I know that you're worried, though.
Well, I don't like keeping secrets. At least as much as I can avoid it, I don't want to keep any more secrets. And I promise that I'm not doing anything, or she kind of like catches herself a bit. It's clearly difficult for her to properly explain.
No, to say.
Yeah.
You only talk about it if you want to talk about it.
Thank you.
And if you do, I'll be here. Your secrets should be safe with you.
I'd hug you, but I know you don't like that, so.
And Max will give her a hug because she clearly needs one.
Oh. He kind of like
Character growth.
yeah, puts her arms around you, and like you can feel that she's moving her arms in order to try to just rub her eyes. There's a thank you.
Nod and say. I was about to say something and then my brain just deleted it.
That's okay.
Um, just make sure you get your rest.
Yeah, I think I need that. I'll come back around. You know, this place is a little weird when you don't really have eyes on everybody.
Sure, Zod will find his way back.
Yeah.
And Max is gonna do like a couple of laps of the Deku tree because he is finding it a bit hard to sleep.
Yeah.
His brain is still a bit shaky from earlier.
Yeah. But yeah, Mara will come back around. She'll find a nice, comfortable spot, and just kind of doze off. And yeah, after all of that, you all experience a nice, full, long rest. In the safety of the view of the Great Deku Tree. Yeah. So, as you rise and are fully rested, the Great Deku Tree doesn't really say anything. He kind of just continues his silent vigil, at least from the looks of it. Do you have, now that you've rested, what is your next course of action?
I think check the settlement.
Yeah.
Maybe check in with the research station as well.
Deliver the samples that we got.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Max does look up at the trays with him and is like, thanks.
There's no verbal response, but there is a light breeze that somehow communicates you're welcome and thank you.
Oh.
Yeah. But yes.
Just learning normal human interactions.
Yeah. But yes. With your party all set and ready to go, you venture north through the Lost Woods in a much faster pace than before. You find yourselves at the edge of the Lost Woods. Like it's almost a 5-minute walk. It's really bizarre because it clearly took you longer to get here in the first place. But as you emerge from the Lost Woods, you can see on the right side of you can see the immense Lake Hylia and the stretching fields of Hyrule to the north and west. But now that you're out of the magical forest and into more mundane territory, it still takes a fair while to get the rest of the way. So it would take you. It's a 10-mile walk, so that would take you like a couple of hours overland. And as you get there, you can see that, oddly enough, in this kind of mid-late morning environment, you can see that you can see Hylia's settlement is abuzz with activity. They're not necessarily like fishing activity or anything like that, but there are people going back and forth who are kind of going from door to door of the small homes that are there, the ones that have been marked as you have previously been told with the infected in them. Occasionally one person, some of them go inside and then come out again with other materials like warm food or blankets. It's a very kind of hectic situation, and standing in the middle of it all, directing people as they go with some supplies, is Dr. Mazro and Sophitia under her guise as Zelda. They're kind of just coordinating various different efforts as they go through.
I presume that it definitely shows that there's probably more people here than the town should normally have, then?
Yes. It doesn't look to be... it definitely doesn't look to be the medical supplies and everything. Like, it doesn't appear to be like a fleet of Kyurgens or anything that you would expect, considering the last thing Mazro had done was send a missive to request a that sort of support in the Hylia settlement. But there's a couple of, in addition to them, there are a couple of people who are wearing like tabards of the royal family, and they're just kind of running around with all these supplies. It's possible that they just sent like a small contingent with something easy to carry that could have been carried overland overnight, and then the rest will probably turn up later.
How long have we been in the forest?
Full day.
Yeah, a full day.
They're here?
Yeah.
I do want to check like how they got here.
Long strider.
It's worth it.
Sorry.
It's
Possible.
Yeah, it's because you left in the morning and you went into the Lost Woods, and then you came out again sometime like at least a day later.
Yeah, but also we asked about like them not going through Mazro village.
So they maybe went a straight line.
Yeah. It's possible.
Green Hills.
Yeah,
Did a straight line, because we've made the trek at an average pace from Hyrule Castle Town to Kakariko in a day.
Yeah,
it's only 10 more miles between them and that. And if it's a small contingent that went faster in order to get stuff here quicker, that would make sense.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They But yeah, as you arrive, like Mazro kind of looks over and sees you like, excellent, you're back. How was the journey?
Journey wasn't too bad.
As you say that, Sofiti looks up and kind of wanders over and says, "So, is it done? Did you kill it?"
Well, we certainly
Yep.
killed something.
Yes, we did.
Which
Okay.
it did seem to break the hold over the Goma larvae that we found in the forest. And
We got samples for your boss.
Oh, excellent. We'll make our way over there when things have calmed down and the rest of the supplies have arrived. It certainly explains what happened, at least last night. Mazra
Worried about that on retrospect.
Mazra cuts in and says, "Some of the ones that have been a bit more far gone had gone berserk when at some specific point in the night. They had been they simply left whatever bed they had been sequestered to or tried to, and seemed to wander aimlessly, go into walls, that sort of thing.
Was it approximately the time that we killed the monster?
Yeah.
we'll try and figure that out, yeah.
Yeah. Yes, about that time.
Well, that does seem to indicate that the intelligence that was driving these things has been eradicated.
Good. That would at least have an impact on the infection rate.
Yes.
Of course, parasites don't simply disappear when their boss is gone, so we will...
I mean, I've seen some things. Wait, not different games.
I've seen Avengers. That's how it works, right?
Oh, yeah.
You blow up the thing, and then they all just drop dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's exactly how it goes.
Stop the big blue sky beam.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, no, we can't do that. They killed the Emperor, in Darth Vader there.
But yeah, the he just Mazur just goes, right, well, when we have the opportunity to, we'll take the samples over to the research station to have them properly processed and see if we can't make ourselves a vaccine, maybe something that we can use to safely remove some of the parasites from the ones who are not too far gone. In the meantime, I know you've probably had quite the journey, but if possible, could you help with this for the moment? There's a lot of supplies, still not enough people to handle everybody.
Oh.
And Kai just cracks his knuckles and, alright, where do you need me?
Yeah. For those who wish to help, Mazro will direct you in due course. He'll basically, Safiti will give you a bundle of supplies, which would be a blanket, some towels, some basic sedative and painkillers, that sort of thing. Just tells you to go into a house that hasn't been gone into already. If they are coherent, if they're still able to form sentences and stuff, and the mutation hasn't gone too far to their brain or whatever. Apply the sedative, apply the painkiller, clear any kind of gunk with the towel, and then change their blanket, put them back in bed, and then tell them to stay. If they are too far gone, close the door again, and then we'll deal with that unfortunate grim business later. But yes, and on that hubbub of activity, I think that is where we will end the session for today. Thank you everybody for listening / watching to Hyrule Chronicles Legends of Zelda D&D campaign. I'm ArticulateT, and as always I have Renji Vox being played by Netherlad.
Good night.
I've had Kaikuana being played by Alvarance.
Believe in yourself, you little edgy bastard.
No! Never! You're not my real dad!
Technically not a bastard either, but that's not the point.
What are you talking about? I'm fine.
I've had Zaiden Shari being played by Robo Pirate.
Renji needs more father figures. More.
I've already have so many.
I am the wrong
More.
DM for you to be applying father figures in this instance.
Yeah. Just keep making them.
Yeah, I know. And I have had Max being played by Keisha.
Max has leveled up. Max has learned the move hug.
Yeah.
Yay!
We'll see you guys on the next episode. Take care, everybody. Bye bye now.
Bye bye.